as we finally bid farewell to 2020, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of reflect on what a remarkable and volatile year it's been. We started 2020 with very optimistic hopes. Global growth was going to pick up, interest rates would stay lower for longer. And initially that started to play out, and markets globally and here in India did reach new highs. And then of course March happened and COVID and the pandemic, and markets crashed. In India we were down 30% at the bottom. And when the initial kind of lockdown happened, I think we were all thinking, well, it's just going to be a month or so and then we'll be back to normal, back to our offices. Little we were to know, how bad it would be. And therefore we went through that kind of despairs of first of all the market falling so heavily, and then obviously thinking about jobs, the economy, the negative growth, and the worst recession we've seen in decades. So we kind of came into that kind of April to June period in that quarter, thinking the worst. And the central banks around the world, including the governments, threw money at the problem, and lots of it. It's been somewhere over $20 trillion has been thrown into this problem. But I think even with that at that time, I think the negative thinking around COVID, kind of didn't really kind of give us expectations that markets would start to recover as it did from that April to June period, from where we were. And there's a little bit of skepticism, a lot of skepticism, by the way, about whether that would be sustainable. And then throughout the kind of summer, coming into the early parts of autumn, markets continue to rise on the basis that one, there would be a vaccine, which is early as September of this year, and obviously the little bit of worry about the presidential elections, but anyway that all kind of came through very, very well, and the markets were relieved that Joe Biden has finally become the president, or will become the president in January. And therefore, thereafter, with the vaccine announcements, we came into the last quarter of this year hugely optimistic that we see this big rebound in the economy, in the global economy in 2021, probably around from the second half, and that really kind of got markets extra excited about the kind of earnings growth, GDP rebound, and everything else, only to be hit more recently by this new strain coming in the UK, which is obviously kind of shut down a lot of the UK now in terms of their own lockdown, but also their own borders with Europe and other countries not willing to accept flights or fly to the UK. So we're kind of a little bit where we were in March, with lockdowns globally, the number of cases a lot higher on a daily basis in some of these countries as well. But the one thing that's different is that obviously this time around there is a vaccine, so that hope factor is really reality now, as we start to see the vaccine being rolled out. So as we look to 2021, I think the narrative from our viewpoint is that global growth will rebound, interest rates will remain lower for longer, and the dollar will weaken as investors look for yield and growth outside of the US. And that we particularly feel that the big theme for 2021, which is, since we've talked about this for the last few months, has now become a little bit more consensus. But Asia, particularly led by China and India, will be the growth engines of the next 5 years or so. And that's why you're going to see money flows towards emerging markets, particularly Asia. And because of India's weightage in those indices, we will see a good flow of foreign monies into the Indian stock market. So how do you play that? We still like the healthcare sector, but as the economy rebounds, I think there's 4 sectors you need to be looking at in terms of having some weightage, and that would be energy, industrials, consumer discretionary, and the banking sector. And also don't forget that digitization is going to take leaps and bounds going forward, and India is going to be at the forefront of that too. So don't forget the telecom sector, because that will be again a big beneficiary of all the different changes that we're seeing going forward. So with that, I'd just like to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas and a very happy, healthy and prosperous 2021.